Good morning, everyone. Today is the 8th of September 2020. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome as you come in. Starting off at a little odd time this morning, had some chores to do, and yet I have to get enough done that I can go take care of some other things today. Yeah, still moving around, have places to go, people to see, things like that. So I didn't even really consider any particular subject matter this morning. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jimmy, Valiant One, Valiant One, we the people, all you all. But what I thought I'd do is just mention a little conversation I had with my oldest son last night. And I think that's pretty telling about where we are and what's going on. And because of that, uh, I think it's apropos that we cover this. So, I called this what I have, the title of this piece, this live stream, because we as a people, nations in general, they always believe the next guy and his promises, or lady for that matter. They always believe them. And then we make excuses for them because there are powers behind them that they can't control, which then, in essence, proves the point that our efforts to bring these people into office is a waste of time. That our trust in man, not ourselves, we don't trust ourselves, we trust somebody else to do it for us. So we've been trained to believe that this is the way to do it, and it isn't. We hire them to do a job, and if they admit they can't do the job for whatever reason, then they don't deserve anything from us, no matter what their excuse. And if there is a legitimate excuse, let me ask you a question. If you're hired for a job and for some reason or other you can't do it, and the boss comes in and says, I need to talk to you. I want to have an accounting. I want to know why you haven't done your job the way you said you were going to do it. And you say, well, there's this person that's keeping me from doing it, or there's this excuse or that excuse. What do? Well, in today's climate, normally they'll write you up at a minimum, disciplinary action, or they could fire you. So I don't care what the excuse is. If, in fact, there is a reason you can't get your job done, you better tell your boss what the true reason is. And if you don't, then you're complicit in whatever the situation is that's occurring. Do you get my drift? So we've been watching all of these things happen. If you're paying attention at all, you can see where this is going. And I don't care if Biden is a problem, that he's getting support from Eric Schmidt and from the chairman or the CEO of eBay or from the devil himself. I already know that that's a lost cause on that side. Their promises we know are no good. But when we've had promises made that will support and sustain liberty, and then those promises are not kept, or excuses are made for not keeping them, or the people that have been charged with that deflect onto other things to keep you from asking the questions and from holding them accountable, that's where we have to really put our efforts. And people don't seem to understand that. I'm still getting accosted on Twitter and on YouTube. Oh, if you don't support Trump, does that mean you're going to vote for Biden? You know, like Mark Pantano says, those are the words of ignoramuses and idiots. And I'm just going to tell you that now. However, as Legal Man said, and if you listened to Nancy Morgan Hart yesterday, she put up his cross-examination of Fauci, of fraud Fauci. And it's very good. You need to go listen to it. I'm not going to put it up here. I don't like to walk on other people's work. I do it occasionally when I want to make a particular point, but you can go listen to Nancy Morgan Hart and you can go listen to Legal Man. at Legal Man. He's on YouTube, and he has a blog where you can listen to his podcast or his recordings. And of course, Mark Pantano, as usual, who I can tell is really getting pretty disgusted, where he's backing off quite a bit, and I don't blame him. So I'm not going to repeat all that. All I'm going to say is that if you haven't figured out that you're on your own, then you're not paying attention. I saw today that, or maybe it was last night, I'm not sure, Black Conservative Patriot, who I really like, but he's such a trumpeter, I finally had to stop listening, because all the predictions that he's made, of course, and I'm not blaming him for this, but trusting in this group that are in control, be it Democrats or Republicans, is a real dangerous thing to do. And so he's out this morning talking about Trey Gowdy, saying that nobody but Kleinsmith is going to be going down. Well, you didn't have to be a genius to figure that out, right? So with all this turmoil and the way that they're locking people down, and the whole mask thing of dehumanizing us, getting ready to, we'll accept the vaccine so we don't continue on this nonsense, but it will continue even after the vaccine. Don't kid yourself. And it's not a vaccine. We found out, as you know, that this thing has been in the works for many, many years, and the telltale evidence started showing up that there were things happening as early as 2017, actually earlier than that, but Monograph and others have been bringing things out to show that this has been a big plan since at least 2017. I saw one guy who made an intelligent argument that what they did was this WITS group went back and basically just updated their their data, and that they just go ahead and call it COVID-19 when it was for the SARS. But see, that's just the same thing. It shows how lackadaisical all this is. And then they took it down. Nancy Morgan Hart took screenshots, but she said, they took it down, and they did. They're trying to get us to rise up and fight them. They are. That's what they're trying to do. They're allowing the left to do it without hardly any action against them. I mean, they're making arrests, but not substantive, not the leadership, not the command and control. They're trying to get us to rise up and do something. And Alex Jones is still giving Trump too many passes. He's saying that he's playing 5D chess now by saying that he's got this vaccine coming out. He's headed off the Dems at the pass and made them put down all vaccination science. Alex needs to stop doing this. If he can't call it the way it is, he just needs to stop. He's not doing anybody any favors at this point. So my son calls me up last night, and he's a grown man. He's in his 40s. Very competent, scripturally sound. He is a scholar as far as biblical scripture goes, and some other ancient writings. And he was in tears because he knows there's no stopping this. And he feels helpless, even with his faith in God that is stronger than almost anybody else I've ever seen. But the hideousness, the evil that's in all of this plan that's going on to do all this harm to people in the name of saving the earth, when the earth was put here to be a home for us. And we could manage it even with many more people than we have now, except for the elites who want to cull us. We have the technology where we should have, if the stars exist, there are people that say, there's heaven isn't out there. This is all there. I've heard all the arguments. But regardless, we could look into really going elsewhere if we got up to the plate. Even if God has closed down the firmament so we can't get through, in reality, if we do the right things, that'll open up. I have all the faith in the world that that's the case, because I don't think all this is for nothing. So he was crying. It was a heartfelt, deep soul grief. And if you think there's something wrong with somebody who has grief, even though they have faith in God, then they really don't have faith in God. I remind you about Isaiah talking about the coming of the Messiah, and that he would be a man not comely, a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief. Well, why would the Messiah ever have grief, knowing all that he knows about eternity and about God and about us and about everything? Why would he have grief? So don't tell me that having grief and sadness is a lack of faith. No, a man of faith, a man of wisdom and faith, is full of sorrow for a lot of reasons. And if you haven't experienced that, then you have a faith that has some fallacy in it. Mindless happiness, mindless joy, mindless acceptance, going through life, skippity doo-dah, all that, then you've missed something. So this is affecting so many people in so many bad ways. This is evil that's being perpetrated on us. And we need to hold those who are doing it accountable. Not at the ballot box, because that'll never work. The people at the rally there at Utah State Capitol on Saturday that I live streamed portions of, I have some recording too I might put up, just additional footage. Haven't decided on that yet. They're coming to realize that there's only one way out of this, beside God intervening. And that is that if their redress of grievances are ignored, they're going to have to do something real serious. I don't know if they'll actually follow up. The government, of course, has all these infiltrators and these really true traitors that are for the system rather than for the Constitution. I see what they're doing in Australia, how the cops are treating people there. I'll just say it the way it is. The people need to find arms and rise up. That's just the fact of the matter. And we know that that's coming here. They're going to balkanize the United States. The United States is not going to exist much longer. You've heard me talk about that. And it's going to be a cesspool. It's going to be a division and a a killing field like you've never seen before. And the funny thing is, as I said, the wicked will actually be going after the wicked, so you need to stay out of it as much as you can. But I do fear that there will come a time, and it's not very far in the future, and it's not because we should be supporting Trump so much. Because Trump is just, as I've said, a placater, a placeholder, a placebo to keep the conservatives down long enough, because the Dems would go along with any of this. Like I said, if they put Hillary in, we would have risen up right away. No, they've slow-boiled us now. Trump would have to do some big 180s for me to believe that he is not involved in this entire conspiracy, complicity business. So I'm very angry that even my son is feeling this deep inside himself. He says there's no way out. We know there's no way out, Dad. This has to happen. And he broke down and he cried because he has children and grandchildren. I keep trying to get myself involved in organizations that can do something, but invariably, once they look into me, they decide that I'm a little too non-traditional for them to take the chance. And I've told you about that before, and it's been across the board. There's a story, I'm not going to tell you where it is, about a commanding general that led some pretty big armies. And he saw the wickedness of the government that he was supporting, even though the enemy was even just as bad. But the people had become so decadent and evil that he couldn't justify in his mind any longer leading them. And frankly, they had rejected him because he would not give in to their traditional views, into their evil, into their wickedness, into their slumber. So he withdrew. He went away. And when the war started and it became so horrible, the people begged him to come and lead them again. And he saw the suffering and the death and the destruction that was being waged upon his people. And even though he knew how wicked they were, seeing the women and children slaughtered, he couldn't handle it anymore. Even though he had a very strong faith in God, personal experience. But he finally decided to go and lead them in the war, knowing that it was a lost cause. And he died in battle. And his people were totally destroyed. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are. I'm not going to be that general. I'm not going to step up and help anybody. I've been at this for 40 years, and most of it falls on deaf ears. And all I hear from people like Dan Bongino and Tucker Carlson's the only one who's really calling it the way it is. And he even pulls some punches. But everybody's afraid of saying anything to Trump because they're so afraid that Biden's going to get in. And I don't even think it's Biden so much. I think it's just plain politics. Because we're no different right now than if Hillary had gotten in. The timetable's been slowed down a little bit, but that's all. So without some real courage to call out your own ball team, without courage to do that, without courage to call your team members on the carpet, you're no better than the opposition. And indeed, your team is the opposition at that point. So I'm very upset that this has gone so far as to even cause my son to become emotionally grieved. These people are doing this on purpose. There is no reason for masks. You know, all people are doing is wearing the same mask over and over and over again, stuffing it in their pocket, in the glove compartment, whatever, wearing it all day. And those were never meant to do that. No kind of mask, not even a CBR NBC mask that they issue in the Army and the military is designed to be worn like that. This is dehumanization. And the governors, including Governor Pervert, need to be tarred and feathered and more. On one more note, and I'll go through the chat this morning. I hear people talk who really despise the Hebrew Scriptures. They say, oh, they were written by bad men who are just trying to control everybody. They're nothing more than rehashed stories from Sumer. Even I've told you that, right? But I don't do it from a negative point of view. I find that the stories that have carried on and have the same basic outline are actually testaments to the truth thereof. But these people that say you shouldn't pay attention to the Bible because it was written by evil men, you're not very smart. Because if in fact evil men wrote it to tell you what they're going to do, you needed to pay attention, and you will not look at it and give it any credence because, well, that was just written by bad people. Did you see the movie Patton? And I've talked about this before, and it's a true story. He was at El Guitar facing Rommel, and he defeated Rommel in the field of battle. And he screamed out, of course, Rommel didn't hear him, but he screamed out, Rommel, I read your book. I read your book. You dirty bastard. So you won't look at the scriptures because you think it was written by evil men. So you're just going to ignore it. You know how stupid that is? To not know what the battle plans of the adversary are. Do you know how stupid that is, especially when it's been handed to you on a silver platter? By the way, if I see any derogatory comments on here, I'm not going to lose my temper. I'm not going to lose them. Most of you don't have any idea what what sacred is. You don't even know what it means. Just like you don't know what holy means. I've told you, but most of you still don't get it. I was going to talk a little bit about the concept of the Trinity. I don't believe it the way the Catholics believe it. But there is something to body, mind, and spirit. And the, the Trinity of the body, mind, and spirit, the three aspects of our nature. Oh, yeah. And that's really where the concept of the Trinity came from. But just I will say this. You are in the image of God. You are a three persons in one. You're not, you're not, you might have some, well, this gets kind of ridiculous the way people want to go there, but you have a body, you have a mind, and you have a spirit. So you are a Trinity in one person, really, when you think about it. And the body isn't something that you should denigrate completely, because even though the flesh, the nefesh that is in you that has bad DNA, it was never intended to go away permanently. God doesn't do things on a temporary basis. You did that to yourself. We did that to ourselves. And that was supposedly reconciled 2,000 years ago. Okay, let's see what you got. Any real reality to the news about the asteroids? I'm not an astronomer. If you're watching BP Earthwatch, I have a lot of faith in Jesse's on BP Earthwatch, on his observations. He's very good, and he admits that there are some asteroids coming this way. I mean, we had a big meteor shower. I don't know where it was, but you could see them coming in. At first, I thought it might be a satellite breaking up, but it was too far apart. The fragments were too far apart. So we're definitely in a debris field of some sort. Do I know if there's going to be an asteroid hit in the Atlantic Ocean and put a tidal wave through Britain and through the east coast of the United States? No, I don't know that. I do know that they could ignite any kind, and I'm not saying it has to be even a nuclear weapon. It could be some other technology that they've got that they could cause some problems. Look, they want more havoc. They want more destruction. And what I would just say is that whatever it is, it's coming. And whatever they blame it on probably won't be the real thing, like it ever is, right? Well, yeah. The Lord said there will be some things hitting the earth. Yeah, of course. Um, that's happened from time to time anyway. Will it be more so this time? I don't know. But I do get a little angry that it's always the little people that seem to pay the price. Why isn't there a major earthquake and a destruction in Washington, D.C.? Nah, it's always the little people. Always the little people. So I don't know about the asteroids, but I wouldn't. It's going to be, something like that could hit us at any time. And of course, if it's not going to, they could use some type of a device to make it seem so. Think they will use tactical nukes? Yeah, it could be. That's actually how things have gone. The United States has gone to smaller um, yields and gone for precision. I think the the Russians are still in huge megatonnage, but we've gone pretty much to precision. So ours aren't as big. Yeah, they could let one off. So when we had several stolen, remember? We still don't know where they are. Yeah, the elites think they can hide. They call for the rocks to fall upon them. Yeah, you're reading Isaiah. Yeah, I know. I've talked about that before. And probably the worst place to be when all this happens is actually underground. Actually, but we'll watch and see. Okay. All we can do is watch now. We're watching this. We should be on the watchtowers, watching what's happening, because we're witnesses to the evil, and we'll be called upon to testify against those who have done this at some point. Pompeo, he's a pompous ass. I don't pay attention to a damn thing he says, because all they do is they say nice words, and then look what they're doing to the world. Look what they're doing to you. Trump still talks about his vaccine and about his wonderful surprise that's coming in October. What I hear people trying to justify him and to make excuses for him, saying, "Oh, he's going to come out with therapeutics. It's going to be medicine." Hey, it doesn't matter. This whole thing's a fraud, and it's been proven to be. And he's still going along with it, and he gave money to Gavi, which is Gates' organization. So these people that'll make excuses for Trump, I just ignore them anymore. Roy, would you buy a pre-computer car to be prepared for EMP? Well, yeah, if you could get one that uses, plugs and points and all those, because they're real easy to replace. An EMP will take out your battery, which is basically a capacitor, right? Type of capacitor. So it'll take out your battery, anything electronic that's powered up, it'll fry. So yeah, if you had a pre-computer car and you had extra parts, extra battery, extra um, plugs and points or whatever, that they have, extra electronic ignition, if you want to go that late. But what are you going to do for gas? If all the power's gone and you don't have your own gas station that you can pump by hand, how are you going to get gas to go anywhere? So it's not going to matter. Wow, Nancy, what's going on here? Let's see, who's this? I got to go back and see what you're addressing here if I can find it, just because I'm not paying attention to all of them. I like Nancy. She stays on top of everything. I don't know how she does what she does. She's always on top of everything. It's just amazing to me. Oh, I see. Okay. I just had to see why you were addressing that particular person. I understand now. Directed energy weapons are real. I have no doubt that some of the fires are being caused by those. You can't melt steel and glass at forest fire temperatures. Okay? And I have no doubt that there are weather weapons that are working right now to attack the food supply. I have no doubt about that. I mean, they've admitted that there are weather weapons. I mean, the people that say they don't exist just haven't checked into it to any degree whatsoever. They do exist, and they've existed at least since the Vietnam War, and probably before that. They're just more sophisticated now. Yeah, no matter what, as Alex Jones and other people say, no matter what happens in November, this country's going to be torn to shreds. Okay, no matter what happens, no matter who gets in, no matter the circumstances, it's going to be hell on earth. Okay, so Again, you can get yourself decisively engaged in that between the wicked and the wicked if you want, but I think it'd be much wiser to draw back as the scriptures tell you to withdraw from Babylon, to stand in the holy place, which means separate yourself. Doesn't mean go to Jerusalem. It doesn't mean go to some temple somewhere. That might be a safe place, but what it's really saying is to separate yourself from everything as best you can. Come out of her, my people. That's what it means. Yeah, Liza Jean, you're right. There's never been a weapon that hasn't been formed that they haven't wanted to use. They want to go out and play with their toys. Exactly. At the expense of your life and the life of your loved ones, of course. Our military is corrupt. And, Trump is saying now that, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the generals are against him. Boy, he plays a good game, doesn't he? He plays a real good game. They're all on the same page. Psychological warfare. Stay out of it. We can point it out, but I'm not going to make the mistake again of getting decisively engaged. Like I said, I'm not voting anymore. It's all done. There's no sense in it. No sense at all. All you're doing is they can use your vote as saying that you consented to the situation that they throw at you, and I ain't doing that. And this isn't a democracy, it's a republic, so those bastards can't force a law of 2 wolves and a lamb for dinner and eating the lamb for dinner. If they do that, they're acting unlawfully, illegally, immorally, unrighteously, and they deserve what happens to them. End of story. Willful ignorance? Well, ignorance is the word by itself. In fact, we use the word ignorant and ignorance incorrectly. Ignorance actually means you know better and you ignore it. All right. That's why they can say ignorance of the law is no excuse. Not knowing the law is not ignorance. Okay, you're not ignoring the law because you don't know what it is. Ignorance is when you know what the law is and you ignore it. Ignorance is when you know something and you ignore it. You don't pay any attention to it. That's true ignorance. Stupidity is not knowing something. Okay, a big difference. That's why I call most people stupid. I don't like to use the word ignorant because most people are choosing to ignore. Right? And when I figure they're doing that, I'll say, you're ignorant. You're choosing to ignore what's right in front of you. But if you're stupid, you just don't know. Okay? Big difference. Yeah, Ephesians, right. Know who your real enemy is. I agree. Jackie Koo. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. Thoughts on Antarctica? Yeah. I've looked into that quite a bit. I have no doubt that there are things down there that they're keeping from us. I mean, secrecy is what the governments do. And if they found something down there, if the Germans went down there, the Nazis after World War II, I have no doubt that they did. I know some folks who, not personally, but found out about Hitler going to Argentina, and I know for a fact that there were Nazis there because I was there in the 90s, and a lot of their military people were German, of German descent, no doubt about it. Kind of shocked me, actually. I'd heard about it, but I saw it for myself. Well, no. Ignorance, you're saying, means uninformed. Well, by choice, though. See, that you got to look at the root of the word. Ignore something. Yeah, it's uninformed, but you've chosen to be uninformed. Okay, get the drift? Yeah. Ignorance is uninformed, but by your choice. Ignore. You know something, but you ignore it. That's true ignorance. Willful ignorance, which is kind of a, you're saying the same thing twice when you say willful ignorance. Ignorance is willful uh, avoiding the subject. Yeah, I think a lot of people feel your way. You'd rather be dead than take the vaccine because you'll be dead afterwards anyway, one way or another. Liza Jean, yeah, information is freely available, and if you choose not to look for it, you're ignoring it. Exactly. You might be stupid. You might be uninformed on a particular subject, but if you become informed about that and then don't do anything about it, then you're you're conducting ignorance. You're ignoring the circumstances. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's all I had for you this morning. The world's gone crazy and it's not going to get any better. I hope you're prepped and prayed and staying out of the way and have all of your everything that you possibly can to make it through this, because this is not going to be easy. They want to destroy your loving relationships. They want to destroy your humanity. And don't kid yourself. Trump's not going to pull anything out of the bag to save you in the end. Not going to happen. I got to go. Just wanted to touch base this morning. Keep track of Nancy Morgan Hart. She's on top of things all the time. Mark Pantano, Legal Man. And there are some others. You know, I used to promote a lot of other people, but if they constantly drum on how wonderful Trump is and that Trump is the end all, I've had to finally just say that I can't handle that anymore. And again, the only reason why I keep up with Alex is because he does have some other people that are pretty good. He has David Knight and some of those other folks. And Alex still has some good information, but I can't stand to listen to him for very long. He's constantly telling us how much he needs money to fight the bad folks, and that his life is threatened and all that. And I have no doubt that that's probably true. The difficulty is I can't take him seriously if he's not going to call Trump out. I can't. All right. Thanks, everybody. Keep your eyes on the rise and ears to the ground. I'll probably come up again in a few days. Of course, if anything major happens, I'll let you know. Is September 11th going to be a bad day for everybody? Well, we've had it before, right? So keep your bug out bags handy. All right. Thanks for being here. We'll talk to you later.